Good morning once again. Where is Vincent, my friend? Okay. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came to be through him, and without him, nothing came to be. What came to be through him was life, and this life was the light of the human race. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. These words are the words of the Apostle John that we heard in the gospel a moment ago. These words echo the words written by the prophet Isaiah, who wrote 1,500 years earlier the following words: "The people who walk in darkness will see a great light. For those who live in the land of deep darkness, a light will shine." It is in a period of darkness and confusion that Jesus was born into our world 2,000 years ago. It was the day in which the Hebrew people were living under the oppressive rule of the Roman Empire, under the reign of Caesar Augustus, an emperor who loved his power, privilege, and wealth, and lived protected at the expense of the Jewish people. Herod the Great was the governor of Jerusalem, and he was coming to the end of a long, bloody career. He ruled through tactics of terror and watched the Jewish people closely to ensure their obedience to his strict standards. Not only this, but the Jewish people themselves were greatly divided, fighting over religious and doctrinal issues. The result of these four competing sects in Judaism led to constant friction, only increased by the oppressive rule of Rome. Riots were common. Tension was unceasing. There was no unified Jewish identity, and people were growing increasingly hopeless. The 4th century Palestinian world was one that was growing increasingly dark. It was a world filled with crisis and tension, a world on the brink of chaos. A world not unlike our own. It is into this world that the stories of the gospel tell us that Jesus emerged into this darkness that the light and love of Christ first burst forth. Into this cold, dark, bleak reality, the warmth and light of Christ emerges as a signpost of hope and redemption. It is this light, this hope, that we focus on at Christmas. It is the joy that comes from the sudden realization that all is not lost, that there is a better way, that God has not forsaken us, and that our liberation draws near, that we sing about around our Christmas trees. The message and meaning of Christmas is simply this: that when the world seems most overwhelmingly dim, the light of the world will do whatever it needs to break through the dark and dense shell and reveal to us a reason for hope, a path to redemption. I believe that the story of the birth of Christ is more important and more meaningful this year than ever before. Our world reflects the world that Christ was born into more clearly now than it was for decades. And we all stand on the precipice at a turning point We stand at a fork in the road. Will we take the path of light or the path of darkness? Will we cling tightly to our selfishness and self-absorption, or will we willingly give it up for the good of others? This is the question that Christmas calls us to contemplate in this season, and this is the message that Christ calls us to contemplate every single day. The people who walk in darkness will see a great light. For those who live in a deep darkness, a light will shine. You and I have the light that the Christ child brought into our world some 2,000 years ago. At our baptism, the priest says to us, receive the light of Christ. And he goes on to say that, see that this light is kept burning brightly until Christ comes again. So you have the light of Christ, I have the light of Christ. In Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5, at verse 14, Jesus says, you are the light of the world. Jesus taught us that we have the power to bring life, to bring light, and to shine gloriously. No matter how bad it gets on the earth, our job is to bring the light of Christ to the darkness, to bring the light of the kingdom, and to shine the light of salvation to everybody. I want to invite us to stand as we sing this song together to celebrate the light that Jesus gives us at Christmas and at our baptism. I think it's a song that we can all sing together. This little light of mine. We can clap, please. Go. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This is light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine for you and me. I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, let it shine for you and me. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine for you and me. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it